Okay, so the next question would be, why are you excited about painting as a medium?
Yeah, I definitely think of myself as a painter first, maybe, and an artist second. And I noticed that a lot of my painter friends feel similarly. And I think maybe some of it is just it feels like a lot to claim. An artist is like is a big thing to claim, but a painter is maybe a more specific thing to claim. But I think, just like thinking back in my childhood, I always loved making art and making any kinds of arts and crafts. Like that's that's where you could find me. But it wasn't really until I took my first painting class that I was like, aha, like this is it. This is sort of the tradition I want to be a part of. And I think one of the things that's really exciting to me about it is that, I'm a very image focused person. So I often feel like there's sculpture I appreciate, but I know that I don't understand it in the same way that I understand sort of anything that's sort of 2D, that's like in the image world. Um, if that makes sense. So I spend a lot of time looking at the world and thinking about images, and we have such a proliferation of images that bombard us constantly, right? We spend all this time in front of our screens, there's ads flashing, there's social media feeds, there's memes, we go out into the world and like there's billboards, and everything is just like, you're constantly bombarded with images. And I think painting is the medium, because it's so slow, because you have to spend so much time to make it, even if you're a fast painter, and I'm not a fast painter, I'm a very slow painter, you really have to sort of like, it's almost like making a perfume or something. You're really distilling like a vast quantity of things that you're seeing in the world into something that's hopefully very, very concentrated. And I think because painting has this so quality, it has this handmade quality, it kind of can have this concentration that's really hard to get in any other kind of form of image making. And obviously that's like a really impossible, I'm showing some images of my work right as we're talking. And that's a really hard thing to convey digitally, right? Because painting is such a physical thing ultimately. And standing in front of it, you can really sort of feel its layered quality, and you can sort of feel the hand and feel the brushstroke. And so it's really exciting for me as somebody who really looks at images in the world to really be able to sort of feel like I can take the time I want and I can slowly process that world into something that's hopefully like a little bit more permanent and hopefully a bit more lasting. Or it's also just sort of a way for me, like if I didn't have the outlet of painting, I think I would be really overwhelmed by the world that I'm encountering. And it's sort of a way for me to slowly sift through that and make sense of it. Yeah, and I think it's been really fruitful for me personally to sort of choose maybe quite narrowly a medium that sort of the works end up with. But then by doing that, I let sort of the input to the painting be quite broad. So I'm looking to things that are not paintings. I'm looking to textiles. I'm looking to advertisements. I'm looking to all kinds of different things in the world that inform my paintings, but then it kind of all has to pass through this sort of process. And so I think that has been sort of a fruitful relationship for me to sort of take all my wider interests and not put them to the side, but use them as fodder for the sort of narrow medium conversation that really allows me to like actually get into the craft of painting. And I feel like there's something that's useful about that relationship of like really delving into the craft questions of how do you make a painting, and really being able to be narrow about that while sort of taking a broad look at the world.
Yeah, I agree with your point. Like the world itself, we have, of course, all these black screens in front of us, our TVs, laptops, phones, and we're in a very visual world where we see a lot of images. So it's good, it's good that, there is no substitute for painting as a medium, and it's good that a lot of your inspiration seems like it comes from images in real life.
Yeah, yeah, and I think also it's so hard, right? Because you see so many images to focus on any given one. And it's very like, I can show you this painting. You can kind of in some sense take it in a second. But my goal is like, how do I make you take this thing in that you're used to taking in just a second, and really make you want to spend that time to get into it? how do you do that? I think painting offers like some of the biggest tool sets to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Painting has like layers for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Good painting is one that you sort of never get tired of. I have some paintings, from my friends that are hanging in my house, and it's like every day I look at them and every day I get something else out of them.
Yeah, and when you think about when you looked at it, like let's say 2 years ago compared to today, and then think about it how you look at it 2 years later, it's like three different perspectives almost, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's always different. Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't even have to be a good painting, right? Like I have like my student work hanging in my parents' house, and every time I go visit them, I'm like, huh, like I see something new in it. So yeah, it's just like it's a kind of image making that keeps giving.
I agree.